First and foremost, I want to thank this person for their comment, because I was like, I need no more reason to do this, and you are absolutely right, and I'm so glad that I did, because you guys want to know what? I'm in the middle of Predator 2, and let me tell you, that 90s greatness. Outside of that, I watched Predators. Now, I want to thank this person. I know this is an anime-related name, so please don't massacre for me if I get this wrong. Thank you to Ciro... Well, God, did I have to get an alert right then? Ciro Gote 13. I'm assuming that's a Bleach reference, right? Are we good? Am I close? I'm old and I've seen the basics. Sailor Moon, I love it. I watched the whole thing once a year. Dragon Ball, love it. I'm all caught up with that. I've seen Inuyasha, I love that. I've seen Cowboy Bebop. Like, I'm old. I've seen the basics, but when it comes, I haven't seen My Hero. I haven't seen Bleach. I haven't seen a lot. So if you have suggestions, leave them down below. But I really liked this comment, and like I said, this is all the reason I need to do this. So I really appreciate this comment, where they said, I really would love for you to talk about the Yautjas themselves from different films and what you like about their personality and the way they hunt. Because after rewatching the films, some of these things have a fetish or for specific weapons. They're perfectionists, have absolutely cocky attitudes, and do unnecessary actions, things just to look cool while doing it. For example, in Predator 2, one of the most disrespectful kills of all time is a scene where the city hunter literally shoots someone with a plasma caster while looking away, jumps up in the air while also ignoring the explosion behind him like the 80s action hero. It was super unnecessary but cool as hell. Because that's all Predator 2 is cool as hell. I want to know who said. Do you want to know who we should have go mano a mano? Nothing against the man, I love him, but who should go up against the Predator next? Danny Glover. What? I'm not here to talk about Predator 2 yet. That's gonna be its own masterpiece that we speak of, because I want to dedicate a lot of time to that. But I did watch Predators. This is good. It came out in 2010, okay? If I'm spoiling anything for you, sorry. But there's a couple things like going back and forth and having double, triple crisscrosses is a little much for me. The way it opens with Adrian Brody straight falling, like we just go straight into it where he's falling and now we're there. And then they try to play it off like it's going to be a little bit of a mystery, but it's not a mystery. We find out real quick what these people are. One is from the cartel. Yeah, okay, let's talk about this really quick. The cast. I almost spit my drink out when Mahershala Ali showed up. I was like, Mahershala's in this? And I wrote them all down just because I didn't want to be disrespectful. But right after Danny Trejo shows up, Danny Trejo, I was like, oh my God, Danny Trejo's in this too. But then when Mahershala showed up, I was like, Jesus. But we have Adrian Brody, Mahershala Ali, Walton Goggins, Danny Trejo, Topher Grace, and then Lawrence Fishburne shows up later on. Oleg Taktarov, who's a UFC fighter, if I'm not mistaken, and Alice Bragan, and Louis Ozawa. And we'll talk about that because that was a huge comic book reference. I really didn't mind them reusing the score, and I thought that some places it came off cheesy, and some places it came off really well used. We learn really quick that these are all bad guys. This is a guy from a cartel, the guy from Sierra Leone, and one's Black Ops, and he's a mercenary now. Then we have, we learn that everybody's rough, and we're supposed to go, oh, look at Topher Grace, that 70s show. How did you end up here? But that's what I mean. I'm like, that 70s show didn't end. It ended in like 06 or 07, so he was still like a big thing. And then it was like Walton Goggins hadn't quite like popped yet, but he does pop. Mahershala Ali, Adrian Brody was already an Oscar winner, and I always bring up Adrian Brody, and I realized for the first time tonight, I think I find him highly attractive. I think this is the first time I've ever felt this way. I'm like, I always bring up Adrian Brody, and I'm always saying, like, no, you forget he's there because he's so good as these characters, and he's such a good actor, and I feel like there needs to be more hype about Adrian Brody sometimes. But by watching this, I don't know if it was just him being jacked, but no matter what version of the Brody I get, I think that he's just not my type. But now I've realized, like, no, I think I just find this man highly attractive. That was the other thing I had an issue with here, was the amount of facts he was spitting out. But it's like, I guess you would say things like that. If you knew, you would say stuff like that. When he's like, do you know how much a deadfall needs to be? I'm like, do I really need to know how much a deadfall needs to be? I think it just needs to be really heavy. And it might not kill it instantly, but if you smack something hard enough when it's falling, it's probably going to die eventually. I don't think you need to say it needs to be 5 tons heavier. He was like pulling out Fight Club facts. It was like, you need to drink 3 pints of blood before you get sick. And I'm just like, do we really need that? That was the only part I was like, this is a little much. But this is a rare Predator film where it isn't mano-y-mano at the end. It's more than one predator and more predators, hence the title, and more than one person at the end. And I liked that. And it's kind of corny, but I really like the way it was. You know how I was saying Predator, the original, is such a human story? This one is literally a human story where she's giving Adrian Brody flack and going, or are you human? He goes, I'm alive. And then he ends up showing that he's human and going back to help her. And she ends up proving that she doesn't just run away and stands and fights. So, a little on the nose, but I liked it. I thought this was genuinely funny when it tried to be. I liked the first thing I thought when the Yakuza guy showed up was, is he gonna have the tattoos on his back? I can't remember. And then we'll talk about that scene in a minute and why it's related to the comics. But I just learned recently, because I know people that have done that, like, not that, but I know people that have their full back tattooed in a Japanese art, and I'm like, do you understand what that means? Like, do you? I guess not, because you wouldn't get it if you did, because I didn't know until I knew that the Yakuza covered their entire back with the tattoo and the artwork, and that's like a thing. But just in the last like couple of years, I learned like it's a special ink that, don't quote me on Yakuza tattoos, okay? Who am I? But I'm just saying I learned this I knew about the tattoo part, the ink part. It's like that is also dangerous and could kill you, and that's kind of part of it. And it's wild. But I was wondering if they were going to do that, and I thought the shots when they showed him prove I'm a part of this and fight a predator was really cool, and I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, every time somebody has a tattoo, a full back tattoo, and it's Japanese style, I'm like, do you not? Okay, I'm not going to tell you, but maybe you'll figure it out one day. You realize that you are getting a tattoo that symbolizes you are like high up in the mafia. Could you imagine doing that here? Could you imagine doing that? Like, you're an idiot. That's not saying you can't have your back tattooed or a full back piece. I'm just saying I know specific people where I'm like, buddy, what were you doing here? We're going to talk mostly about the predators, okay? The Yautjas. But one thing I really liked about this is you know what you signed up for. Once again, we go in with this group. They don't keep it a mystery that they're bad guys. I think the most corny thing is that we all know something's up with Topher Grace. We all know something's up with that 70s show. We're like, why are you here? And he's like, I'm just a doctor going to work. And then we end up finding out he's a total lunatic, serial killer, crazy. But I think that's kind of a corny part. I really liked how they tied in other cultures. Not just with the woman who's like, I've heard of these, specifically the one from 1987's Predator. But not just that. We have Mahershala Ali's character going, we did this to lure whoever and trap them and hurt them. And then we have Danny Trejo going, in the cartel, this is what we would do to do this. And so we have all these different people from all different parts of the world going, this is how we would do this to lure in bait or trap somebody or hurt them. And it's like, okay, now we have to put all our knowledge together so that we can take on this threat. One thing that I was like, oh my God, they never do that in movies. Why are they sticking so close to like realisticness was when he was like shell count. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but when Adrian Brody was like shell count, see how much you have, we have to reserve it, because if you do watch Predator, they're just lighting up the jungle. When Danny Trejo gets killed, all I could think was, well, thank God. If I was him, I'd be like, thank God. Do you see this cast? Jesus Christ, I don't want to act up with them. Take me out first. Nothing against Danny Trejo. I love Machete. He's great. But I'm like, if someone said this cast now, if somebody was like Adrian Brody, Lawrence Fishburne, Mahershala Ali, Walton Goggins, you'd be like, oh, what prestige film am I going to see? Predators. That's what you're going to see because they're all in it. But nothing against Danny Trejo, but I did like that, and I liked the use of recording because we're bringing back a lot from the original Predator, and I like that. We're going to talk about different types of Yautjas. These Yautjas in this one are called super predators. Super predators are not as, I'm trying to find a term, civilized, I guess, because, I mean, I don't know if you'd call regular Yautjas civilized, but there's tribes. That's how their hierarchy is tribes. And we have young ones who haven't been blooded yet, which means they haven't fought a xenomorph yet, or gone on like I was saying with prey, like you have to go and prove yourself and come back and go, I'm a hunter now, yada yada yada. That's how you prove you're the biggest and the baddest. Now super predators aren't the same. Here's some key differences. They are more reptilian. They're slimy, got the slimy things coming out. They use dogs, they use traps, they use things like that. Not only that, they don't remove their armor when they fight. Where a regular Yautja, like from the original Predators, like it's me versus you. A super predator will use traps and will do this and will do that, and they're less civilized. That's what they show when we see an original predator, a regular Yautja, strung up the way they are. So not only are we getting this between the humans of going, we did this in my country, we did this in my country, we did this over here, we did this over there, this is how you would do whatever. Now we have two different types of predators, and one hunts this way and one hunts another way. But where a regular Yautja tribe would look at going out for the hunt as a ritual, super predators are kind of just doing it. They're like the sadistic version, but bigger. That way we don't like them as much. You know what I'm saying? There's not as much thinking, and there's not going on with the super predator. They're just out here to be out here. The other ones, it is a ritual that they are becoming a part of the tribe officially after they go for their xenomorph hunt, after they go for their other planet hunts. Now they're a part of the actual tribe and looked at a certain kind of way. Super predators are not like that. Where a regular Yautja will go, I'll take you on, a super predator will go, no, we'll gang up on you. And that's not a regular Yautja's way of life. Because at first I was just going to talk about Yautjas, and then I was like, no, I'm going to... Every time I thought I could, zone out during this movie, it sucked me back in. And I was like, wow, I actually care. I actually really care. And then Lawrence Fishburne shows up, and you're like, oh my God, Lawrence Fishburne. And he's pulling the Willy Wonka, I've been alone for way too long thing, smoking people out. Well, first he pretends to be their friend, then he turns on them. Because it is what it is. He's just surviving, and he's a loony. And I thought Lawrence Fishburne was genuinely funny, and I was cracking up. And I will say this. Do you know how hard it is to make an R-word joke? I'm not allowed to say anything on YouTube, otherwise they shove me down in the algorithm. But an assault R-word joke, actually funny. And it was actually funny in this, because they want us to not like Walton Goggins' character. They want us to just inherently not like him. That's why we don't care when he gets his spinal cord ripped out, because he's a weirdo. When him and Topher Grace are having their back and forth, it's genuinely funny. And he's like, yeah, and then the Russian's like, stay away from that guy. I laughed out loud. That was funny. There was a few really funny moments in this. And of course we get the little backstory, who has kids, who doesn't. We know that a bunch of people are going to get off by the Predator. Lawrence Fishburne smokes him out. The Predators show up, and they make a plan, the humans do, to go, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Let's go back and get that strung up Predator that obviously they have a problem with. At first, I was like, oh, wait, are you perceived as weak? And is that why you're dead? And then I was like, oh, wait, no, I remember, he's alive. And it's a whole thing. But yeah, they're not the same. I think one of my favorite parts, besides just Adrian Brody in this being great, but everybody in this is great. The Yakuza guy, when he finds a samurai sword, and he's like, this is old, old. They've been doing this for a long, long time. There's a comic where a predator goes mano-a-mano with a samurai, and so that's why we get that whole scene of him fighting that one that actually does go okay, let's do this. That's a total comic book reference, and it's great. And I always love when they reference how long the Predators have been around and how long they've been dicking around on Earth and nobody knows. Oh, and that was a joke that I really liked too, is when they were like, you can speak English? And he was like, yeah, and they said, why don't you talk more? Because I talk too much. I thought that was funny. I literally have in my notes, Adrian Brody is fine. It's a little on the nose when she's like, we are the Predators. We're the Predators of our world. That's why we got picked to come here. I liked it. I didn't not like it. It was just like, okay. But out of all of them, like fundamentally, until Prey, this was the best one, and I don't understand why they didn't continue. In order of deaths, we go Danny Trejo, Mahershala Ali, which I was like, geez, you're really, God, man. That's what I mean here. Like, these people are so big now that it's hilarious. It's like you killed these people off this early in your movie. Danny Trejo, Mahershala Ali, then Lawrence Fishburne, then UFC guy, then Walton Goggins, and then we finally get Topher Grace being a creep, and we get Adrian Brody taking him out, which is a great scene because he came back. So by the time we get to the end of the movie, we have the samurai battle that took one of the bigger predators out. We have our regular Yautja that has had its head torn off, and I was like, oh man, I thought you were going to make it. I thought he was going to make it, but he doesn't. But he gives them time. They end this movie in a way that it was open, but I liked that they established that she knew about the mud, so Adrian Brody knew about the mud. Is it a little, okay, why are we doing this again? Yeah, but I didn't mind it. And I liked this. I did, and it ends with them seeing more creatures and or Yautjas coming, and them going like, yeah, let's get out of here. Is this a perfect movie? No. Is it good? Yeah. And I'm like, why didn't you keep going with this? This was... Are you serious? Like I said, I love Predator 2, but as like a story, this one's really good, and I really like it a lot. And I like that more than one person makes it. And in Predator, yeah, the woman makes it too, but she wasn't fighting. This one was. I remembered that this was good, and now I'm like, no, it is good. And like I said, I really loved that comment, and yeah, the difference between these Yautjas in this movie, and I realize that's what I'm going to do. I'll just like semi-review these, and then we'll talk about the Yautja that is in them. But that is a super Yautja, or a super Predator, which is kind of just like, I don't know, like a Neanderthal. It's like, yeah, you're one of us, but we have like a code and you kind of don't. But yeah, it ends with them walking off into the distance and going, yeah, let's try and get off this planet. And it's like, you could have kept going with that. And there's a lot, and I know there's a lot of comic book stuff there. Like, eventually there's a woman that is accepted by the Yautjas. The character that Adrian Brody plays is in the comics. And it's like, why? I don't know. I don't know what decisions things make. But I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and like I said, all my stuff's down in the description below. I'm on OF, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all the stuff. If you subscribe, thank you, and thank you to all the new people. Welcome to the Penguin Gang. And I try to do these things really quick because I know they're annoying to shove down your throat, but it matters a lot when you comment and like and share and copy the link, and even if you don't post anywhere, it helps me. But yeah, Predators. This was a really good sequel to Predator, and I don't know why it doesn't. Like I said, just go look at this cast. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, how much did this? Do you know how much this would cost now? And then I found out I had a secret love for Adrian Brody that I just haven't been acknowledging all these years. Who'd have known? And having it end with Long Tall Sally. Having it end with the music that they go in with in Predator 1. I liked that. I saw what you did there. I liked it.